The holographic display sprang to life, flashing a warning in 17 languages, each a variant of "Viewer discretion strongly advised." Zakthara, the Galactic Military Academy's most infamous professor, stood nearby, a smile hinting at a lesson that would scar students for decades. "Welcome to Advanced Xeno-Warfare Studies," she declared, her 4 eyes sweeping over the diverse cadets. Or, as you've likely heard it whispered in the hallways, War Crimes 01. A wave of unease swept the room. In the back, a human. If you're watching this now, comment, "I'm ready," to begin the most unsettling lesson of your life. Because what follows is not just a lecture, it's a revelation. The exchange student remained slumped in his seat, baseball cap obscuring his face. Few noticed him. Humans, while uncommon at the academy, were regarded as largely innocuous, even endearingly primitive. Professor Zathara's tentacles fluttered over her control panel. "Today, we delve into the most ingenious military tactics in galactic annals." She paused. "Be warned, what you are about to witness will shatter your preconceived notions of civilized conflict." The first clip depicted a space station under attack. Outnumbered 50 to 1, traditional military protocols would dictate instant capitulation. The humans, however, seemed oblivious to such conventions, as Zathara observed. The footage displayed human soldiers employing improvised weaponry, jury-rigged jewelry, items absent from any official handbook. Upon depletion of standard arms, they resorted to maintenance tools, cooking utensils, and, as she hesitated, what appeared to be a modified Vorthon cadet inquisitively raised a crystal appendage. "Professor, surely this contravenes the Galactic Accords regarding permissible military technology." "Precisely, Cadet Morag. Observe the footage closely." He continued. "The humans weren't merely engaged in combat. They were reveling in it. They were exchanging jocular remarks over comm channels while transforming a common kitchen appliance into a makeshift explosive. One individual had, incredibly, constructed body armor from cookware and was aggressively advancing on enemy lines, bellowing something concerning meat tenderization." "But Professor," a Zelenian student interjected, "this is utterly savage. No cultured species would—" Zakthara's sophisticated chuckle echoed like shattering crystal. "Cadet Yelnara. They bravely defended that outpost for 6 incredible days, holding off an entire battle fleet. The mighty Corvan Empire was forced to withdraw and desperately call for reinforcements." A profound hush fell over the room. The Corvan Empire never retreated. In the rear, the human student subtly adjusted his cap, a faint, knowing smile gracing his lips. "Moving on to Exhibit B," Zathara announced, bringing up another file. "The Geneva Gambit, as military scholars now term it." The Geneva Gambit proposed. A bewildered Altarian cadet observed, "These humans possess documents dubbed the Geneva Conventions, supposedly rules of war. However, they appear to regard them as mere suggestions, incredibly adaptable suggestions." Recent footage revealed a battlefield where human medics were aiding injured adversaries alongside their own, commendably selfless. Yet the camera then exposed these medics' subtle deception. They had equipped their medical provisions with tracking technology, transforming each act of compassion into a covert intelligence operation. Zakthara added, highlighting the psychological tactic, "The enemy now confronts a potent dilemma. Accept medical aid and jeopardize their operational integrity or decline assistance and witness their troops perish. Humanity has weaponized empathy." A Gravari cadet's mandibles clicked nervously. That's genuinely ingenious, profoundly unsettling. Zaktara concurred, because they're not merely bending regulations, they're actively redefining warfare under intense pressure. The hologram transitioned, depicting a trapped human squad in a canyon. Their commander issued surrender ultimatums. The human reaction proved remarkably unconventional. They commenced singing a chilling anthem, a raw human defiance, hauntingly unhinged. A song of warriors, not surrender, but vengeance, aiming to claim lives and eternally haunt survivors. The psychological blow landed instantly. Zakara witnessed the enemy, despite their numerical dominance, falter, battling combat stress against foes, singing of glorious demise, while crafting makeshift explosives. Extraordinary instance of combat stress. The visuals captured the human team escaping the ravine, employing seemingly planned landslide strategies and incredible boldness. Their survival defied expectations. Computer models assessed their success rate at a mere 0.3%. They not only survived, but triumphed. Concluding our broadcast, Zara stated, "Our concluding segment presents a captivating illustration of human strategic resilience." The display showcased yet another intense battlefield panorama. This time, the lens zeroed in on a human combatant, a youthful figure with resolute eyes and an almost imperceptible smirk, even amidst the raging firefight. A Thraxian student peered intensely at the screen. "Professor, that human seems oddly recognizable." Zathara halted the recording. "Intriguing deduction, Cadet Crix. What might be the reason for that sentiment?" "I'm uncertain. It's simply, have we encountered that visage previously?" A wave of murmurs rippled through the class as they scrutinized the paused image. In the rear, the human exchange student had become remarkably motionless, his baseball cap lowered, casting his entire face in shadow. Professor Zathara's smile widened subtly. Widened, flashing teeth honed for far more formidable prey than mere classroom debates. Class dismissed. Tomorrow, we delve into the notorious Kepler Station debacle. Scrutinize tonight's recordings, note any recurring figures. As students streamed out, buzzing with the day's insights, the figure in the last row lingered. His unhurried demeanor was unsettling, but not as unsettling as what followed. When he rose and extended, several students witnessed something chilling. He was humming. The identical battle anthem echoed from the canyon recording, every lyric ingrained in his memory by dawn. Professor Zathara swept into the lecture hall, clutching a data slate adorned with enough security protocols to unsettle a significant portion of the class. The human transfer student occupied his customary seat, having swapped his baseball cap for a concealing hood, further obscuring his features. "I presume you all enjoyed serene reflections on yesterday's lecture," Zaktara quipped, her tone laced with sharp irony. "Today, we plunge further into the restricted archives. The material you are about to witness has been designated top secret for compelling reasons." She gestured toward the holographic display, now unveiled a meticulously detailed schematic of Kepler Station, a desolate mining outpost on the outer fringes. 6 months prior, this facility endured a brutal assault by Ravager pirates. Standard operating procedure dictated swift evacuation. The mining equipment paled in comparison to the value of human lives. A Centurion cadet hesitantly raised her hand. "Yet they stood their ground," she observed, questioning why they chose to fight against such overwhelming odds. "They defended it nonetheless, utilizing nothing but mining equipment," Zakara clarified. The human security team had a mere 17 minutes to brace themselves for an onslaught from 47 pirates, clad in advanced military-grade armor. The footage commenced, revealing Kepler Station, a beacon of human tenacity against a backdrop of cosmic indifference. Precisely an industrial hub crafted for utility, not war. Sans defensive fortifications, weapon emplacements, shields, or military bases, merely drilling platforms, processing units, and countless coffee makers. Zethar recounted that the human security director's initial move involved commanding miners to salvage every portable device, not for escape, but for armament. The display depicted human laborers vigorously adapting industrial instruments, plasma torches morphing into assault rifles, conveyors evolving into automated defense arrays, including the station's central colossal drilling laser, was undergoing repurposing from mining operations. But the most unsettling aspect, Zethara pressed, was their manipulation of the station's vital life support. The video shifted to the environmental controls, revealing that the humans had ingeniously weaponized the atmospheric systems. They weren't merely holding the station, they were ingeniously transforming it into a death trap. They initiated a concentrated caffeine infusion into the air filtration, Zara detailed. This produced a powerful combat enhancer, amplifying their reflexes by a staggering 200%. Vegan cadets' intense gaze narrowed as they witnessed the chemically fueled frenzy. Everyone was drugged, transforming the station into a caffeine-charged battleground. Archival footage revealed inhuman speed, jerky, hyperactive movements, bouncing off walls, weaponizing low gravity and enhanced reflexes in a confined, three-dimensional war zone. Zakura noted, "Enhanced audio reveals contact left corridor, past espresso machine. French press for cover, deploying cappuccino foam grenades." An Athraxian cadet grumbled, "Turning coffee into a war crime." Footage showed pirates, geared for standard combat, utterly baffled by humans bouncing off walls, wielding makeshift weapons, and yelling about caffeine. One pirate fell victim to a human seemingly employing A. Weaponizing a mere coffee grinder into a potent projectile caused utter psychological devastation. Zethara observed the pirates' combat ability plummeted an astonishing 80% in the initial hour as they crumbled, incapable of facing adversaries who mocked physics and perceived standard home appliances as deadly implements. The battle concluded with the pirates fleeing into total disarray, abandoning vast swaths of their gear and many crew plagued by complete mental collapse. The victorious humans consequently ransacked the station's emergency liquor stock and hosted a momentous revelry. What seemed a blend of victory revelry and coffee cupping, Zethara's conclusive casualty tally revealed 47 pirate losses against 0 human deaths. The sole injury, a slight burn from an overzealous coffee machine. A palpable hush descended upon the lecture hall. Even by human metrics, this was extraordinary. Now, Zethara proceeded, accessing a fresh document. We examine our subsequent case. Personalized combat prowess versus strategic mind games. The display showcased an immaculate command hub teeming with elite alien dignitaries. The timestamp denoted, "Just weeks ago, this raw footage surfaced. Zthara reports Commander Veltar of the Hegemony Fleet was executing a routine interrogation of a detained human operative." The recording reveals a colossal alien commander, towering over a restrained figure, a seemingly helpless, youthful, unarmed, and compliant human facing overwhelming odds. Zthara continued, "The interrogation unfolded as expected. Typical inquiries regarding troop deployments, resource routes, and critical targets. Answering with unforeseen eagerness, the human became almost loquacious, divulging intricate details of military emplacements and strategic schematics. Commander Veltar seemed delighted by this collaboration, yet Zexthara interjected, asserting the commander had committed a grave tactical misjudgment. The audio sharpened as Veltar waved dismissively towards an unseen object. And what is that miserable creature? Some kind of domesticated animal? The camera then exposed a small terrestrial canine, a golden retriever, tail oscillating despite the palpable tension. "That's my dog," the human responded, his inflection subtly changing. "He's called Buddy." "Insignificant," Veltar scoffed. "It's merely a canine. Guards, eliminate it. Utilize it for target practice if you find yourselves idle." The human's transformation was immediate. The compliant captive dissolved, replaced by an aura that chilled the chamber. "Pardon me," the human uttered, his voice now a chilling blend of courtesy and menace. "Did you just menace my companion?" "It is a rudimentary beast," Veltar retorted with disdain. "Your species' infatuation with inferior beings is a known vulnerability, easily exploited." A human smile could unsettle hardened interrogators, prompting transfer requests. "Commander, you've just crossed a line." The restraints, previously secure, inexplicably failed. With quiet clicks, the locks released, and the human stretched languidly. "I was being compliant, assuming professional courtesy. But this threat? It's personal." What ensued shattered every strategic protocol known in the galaxy. Human moved with uncanny precision, hinting his capture was a staged event. Security systems imploded, weapons jammed. Guards were prisoners in their own cells. Zara reviewed footage. 17 systems failed in sync. The human, it seemed, had meticulously mapped the facility during his confinement. The camera tracked the human as he expertly neutralized the command center defenses, his canine companion, Buddy, happily trotting beside him, blissfully ignorant of his human's ongoing endeavor, could only be accurately depicted as a singular act of outrageous barbarity. But the genuinely unsettling facet, Zether pressed, was the human's running monologue throughout the endeavor. The audio clearly captured the human's voice as he toiled away. "Listen, pal, I reckon these people are clueless about Earth etiquette. When someone endangers your canine companion, you don't just get mad, you unleash your imagination." And the surveillance footage then documented the human expertly reconfiguring the station's systems, transforming defense mechanisms into formidable implements of destruction. Sealed portals morphed into high-velocity cannons, while the climate regulation system began broadcasting what could only be classified as fiercely energizing Earth anthems. At debilitating volumes, causing instant migraines in most alien races. The PSYOPs element proved exceptionally potent, Zethara. Human commenced broadcasting so-called instructional reels throughout the complex, showcasing Earth dogs engaged in tactical maneuvers. The command center monitors flashed with visuals of canines, sniffing out ordnance, pursuing adversaries, and executing life-saving missions. The implication was unmistakable. These weren't mere companions. They were invaluable allies, Commander Veltar's reaction was telling. Sthara recounted footage showed the hulking alien commander recoiling from the human, his initial bravado eclipsed by near-sheer panic. "What is your demand?" he sputtered. "Reparations," the human stated plainly, "for Buddy, and a pledge that your kind will revise its first contact procedures to encompass appropriate deference for canine comrades." "You're delusional." "I'm meticulous," the human countered, "and relentlessly patient. I can sustain this indefinitely. Buddy thrives on escapades." The dog's tail thumped with vigor, seemingly endorsing the sentiment. The stalemate concluded with Commander Veltar issuing a formal apology. A mortified apology to a golden retriever unfolded before his command staff, who watched in captivated horror. The human, with remarkable composure, patted Buddy's head and exited the facility as half the hegemony fleet tracked his every move, weapons poised but unused, paralyzed by awe. The fallout, Zakhtara assessed, was monumental. Commander Veltar immediately requested a reassignment to a mundane desk job, now shadowed by armed guards. The hegemony has since overhauled interrogation protocols, explicitly forbidding threats against Earth's creatures. The classroom remained profoundly silent. Students scribbled notes, though trembling hands betrayed their unease. "Zakhtara," a valiant Alarian cadet inquired, hand aloft. "That human in the recording. A striking resemblance. Wouldn't you agree?" Zathara's gaze sharpened. "Indeed, a compelling pattern emerges. Identical structure, mirrored tactics, and a shared defiance of standard protocols." Eyes shifted to the cloaked human exchange student, still and silent at the room's rear. "Furthermore," Zathara amplified, "my analysis of archived curricula reveals I've observed something truly extraordinary. The subject depicted in roughly 60% of our investigations seems to be a recurring individual." The lecture hall's gaze fixated completely on the last row. The scholar tentatively extended a hand and retracted their hood, unveiling a visage that was now undeniably recognizable to each person. "Present class," Professor Zathora announced with a grin that could unsettle even a seasoned hunter. "I'd like you all to meet Lieutenant Jake Morrison. He will be collaborating on the remaining sessions." Jake offered a brief greeting. "Hi, everyone. Hope I'm not penalized for this. The coffee innovation? My brainchild." The ensuing hush hung heavy, typically a prelude to either resounding acclaim or sheer pandemonium. Yet something felt deeply amiss. Jake's gaze locked onto the classroom's rear camera, the one archiving every lecture for the Academy. His knowing smirk hinted he anticipated a specific, future viewer. Then the cacophony erupted. Not the building's security, but every student communicator blaring simultaneous emergency alerts. Academy protocols surged room-wide. News, military intelligence, and restricted alerts swamped devices. Jake Morrison rose deliberately, easygoing air hardening into command. "Professor," he stated, "permit me to assume control briefly." Zara's multifaceted gaze sharpened. "Lieutenant Morrison, I must remind you, you are presently encircled by cadets from 17 unique species, the majority now perceiving you as a possible felon of war." Jake activated a compact scanner, countering smoothly. "In reality, I'm enclosed by recruits hailing from 16 unique species, including a clandestine hegemony operative who's been archiving this course for 3 weeks." Every gaze in the chamber swiveled toward an anxious Vorthon recruit amidst the central rows. His crystalline features had grown ashen, his hand quivering near what was believed to be a standard datapad. Agent Crist proceeded casually. "Your nation dispatched you to amass intel on human warfare techniques. Perfectly understandable. But did they happen to mention human intelligence? From the outset, the agency has been tracking you. Voron's facade shattered immediately. How did you penetrate us? Your biometric data clashes with official files." Jake clarified, Your accent wavers between Voron dialects under pressure. Crucially, your pointed inquiries into human psychological warfare precisely mirror the hegemony's latest strategic directives. Professor Zer's tentacles pulsed, perhaps amused. So our lecture hall harbored a spy. Clandestine operation, numerous intel operatives. Jake clarified, Agent Krext isn't the sole data gatherer. Alarms blare due to galaxy-wide breaking news flashed on student communicators. Headlines scream, human fleet mobilization spotted, diplomatic ties severed, emergency conclaves convened. The reason your governments are in crisis, Jake announced, heading to the fore, is dawning comprehension. Something crucial, all those alleged war crimes you've been investigating weren't war crimes whatsoever. The Athraxian cadet's mandibles clicked anxiously. What's your angle? Jake initiated the classroom's holographic display, bypassing Professor Zexthara's security measures with effortless skill. Allow me to present the unedited footage your administrations are suppressing. The display illuminated with novel perspectives. Familiar battles showcased from alternative viewpoints, enriched timelines, and comprehensive audio logs. The canyon skirmish from yesterday, Jake announced, cueing the relevant clip. Unseen footage reveals the harrowing prelude to the singing soldiers, a relief convoy, clearly marked for humanitarian aid, transporting vital medical supplies to 60,000 plague-stricken refugees, mainly children, was brutally ambushed by ruthless raiders, not soldiers. Driven by pure greed, these scavengers sought to profit off life-saving medicine, leaving countless innocents to perish, prioritizing profit over humanity. Complete silence descended as the ambush detonated. The human convoy, hopelessly outmatched and outgunned, carried cargo that couldn't endure a drawn-out battle. So when you heard our voices raised in song, Jake went on, we weren't singing of glorious deaths, but rather singing to buoy our courage as we strategized how to rescue those children. The expanded footage revealed a harrowing escape from the canyon, yet the shifted perspective unveiled everything. The humans weren't employing undue force, but meticulously orchestrated maneuvers to neutralize threats while safeguarding vital medical supplies. Each detonation, makeshift weapon, and breach of protocol was strategically implemented to swiftly conclude the conflict. Jake elucidated, emphasizing that every moment endured within the canyon represented another minute those children edged closer to death. A Gravari cadet elevated her arm. However, the psychological impact. Unconventional warfare became vital, Jake asserted. The marauders seized convoy hostages. Standard combat meant execution upon their defeat. But fighting with a nothing-to-lose mentality, convincing them we were beyond negotiation. The video revealed their frantic retreat, abandoning weapons and hostages, leverage they intended to exploit. They fled, perceiving us as suicidal, Jake clarified. That perception ensured their survival. Lives. Silence permeated the classroom as Professor Zakhtara scrutinized her notes, her countenance reflecting concern. The Kepler station incident, she stated gravely. The weaponized coffee machine. Jake's grin turned razor sharp. Ah, that's a classic. Let's bring up the comprehensive timeline. The updated footage commenced 3 days pre-attack, showcasing the mining station's routine activities, amplified with insightful intel briefs, intercepted communications, and crucially, the identities of the marauding pirates. These ravagers, Jake revealed, were no mere opportunistic pirates. Were a band of hired guns, bankrolled by Kepler Station's rivals. The assault was meticulously orchestrated to mimic piracy, But the sinister motive was calculated corporate sabotage. The data revealed encrypted communications weaving between the attacking vessels and nefarious off-world consortiums, alongside acquisition agreements for the station's mineral concessions, primed to activate post-pirate raid. Thus, when we intercepted intel regarding the impending onslaught, Jake proceeded, we faced a pivotal decision: abandon ship, conceding the miners' prosperity to corporate vultures, or stand our ground and retaliate. But seriously, the coffee makers? A perplexed Centurion cadet inquired. Jake articulated. These weren't merely workers. They were multi-generational mining families who had shaped their entire existence around this station. They weren't seeking conflict, but they were determined to safeguard their home. The visuals revealed the miners proactively altering their machinery, collaborating seamlessly with human security. The prevailing sentiment wasn't despair, but unwavering resolve. The caffeine concept originated from Dr. Kim, Jake clarified. Her expertise as a xenobiologist enabled her to understand. Focused stimulants affect human physiology differently than most alien species. We weren't intoxicating ourselves. We were amplifying our performance while deterring attackers. The psychological impact on the vegan cadet was an unintended consequence, not the intention, Jake concluded. We aim to secure the station, not traumatize pirates. Their inability to contend with hyper-focused individuals is their problem. The longer footage displayed in the wake of the hard-fought battle, jubilant miners commemorated not only their triumph, but the very survival of their cherished community. Children frolicked in corridors recently scarred by conflict, while families reunited in heartfelt embraces. The pirates, facing the reality of their impending betrayal by the very corporation they served, elected to lay down their arms. Jake revealed that intercepted communications exposed their expendable status, prompting them to question sacrificing themselves for employers who had already deemed them disposable. Meanwhile, Professor Zakara scrutinized her datapad with growing apprehension as Lieutenant Morrison stood by, awaiting her analysis. These confidential files, previously beyond my authorization, have now been unveiled, Jake asserted. Just minutes ago, the terrestrial government declassified a significant portion of our strategic archives. Hence, the widespread alarms and frenzied news updates on student devices. Galactic diplomatic channels are ablaze with unprecedented activity, and emergency summits are being convened throughout the cosmos. Which leads us, Jake continued, to the core issue at hand, the canine in the room. He then displayed enhanced footage of the Veltar event, this time revealing its origins. Weeks earlier, unveiling the intricate intelligence operation culminating in Jake's capture. The hegemony orchestrated Operation Clean Sweep, a methodical eradication of species they deemed inferior within disputed zones. Jake revealed their comprehensive target list encompassed a staggering 47 distinct civilizations, plunging the classroom into absolute stillness. Even Professor Zactera's tentacles froze mid-air. My assignment, Jake pressed on, was to penetrate their command echelon and procure irrefutable proof. The abduction was meticulously planned. I required entry. In their top-secret files, the footage revealed Jake willingly surrendering to hegemony custody. His capture was meticulously staged to seem lawful, yet Commander Veltar escalated matters by menacing Buddy. Jake retorted, "Look, Buddy isn't merely my companion. He's a highly skilled military working dog, expertly trained for intel missions. He was integral to the operation." Expanded footage highlighted Buddy's crucial role. The dog methodically charted the facility's security infrastructure via scent profiling and behavioral assessment. Which is what? Seemingly aimless wandering, in reality, was meticulously planned reconnaissance. When Veltar menacingly used him for target practice, Jake clarified he was threatening a fellow soldier's life, dramatically altering the rules. The classroom was captivated as the escape unfolded across multiple camera views. Every system hiccup, security lapse, and apparent glitch was meticulously choreographed. The psychological manipulation was key, as the hegemony only acknowledges power. Jake stated, a simple escape wouldn't suffice. They would have dismissed as a mere coincidence, but showcasing that endangering a human's loved one utterly cripples their defenses broadcasts a potent message. What message? Inquired a trembling Altarian cadet. Jake's grin circumvented diplomacy. Humans wield not just soldiers, but families, and family threats negate negotiation. The footage displayed Commander Elar's frantic reports, Operation Clean Sweep's swift termination, and the ensuing fallout. Crucially, the revamped Hijgamani's initial interaction guidelines explicitly ban menacing human beings, advocate for courteous engagement with human familial structures, and urge utmost discretion when approaching human military officers seemingly just conversing. Lieutenant Morrison, she stated, after scrutinizing newly accessible confidential documents, her countenance deeply concerned. These records indicate our conflict involves every conceivable war crime. The curriculum was indeed a sanctioned military operation with concrete humanitarian goals, Jake affirmed. The Terran government has permitted xeno-species to scrutinize our strategies, hoping you grasp a pivotal truth. He faced the assembly, shedding his nonchalant guise for a more solemn presence. Each species present embodies a civilization that has, at some juncture, underestimated humanity. You've dissected our methods, probed our minds, and meticulously documented our weaknesses, but you overlooked the crucial point. The room was utterly hushed. We don't engage in mere skirmishes, Jake stated. We bring conflicts to resolute and lasting conclusions, typically in a manner that compels all participants to deeply question the initial wisdom of conflict. News feeds displayed human fleet maneuvers throughout the galaxy, not as hostile advances, but as strategic redeployments, forging protective shields around vulnerable civilizations, building swift counterattack forces, and overhauling defensive systems. The basis of your governments are... Frantically, Jake clarified his panic stemmed from the stark realization that every human war crime case study was, in essence, a showcase of our calculated restraint, a conscious effort to minimize collateral damage while fulfilling mission goals. The Athraxian cadet, voice barely audible, questioned, "What unfolds when such limitations are dismissed?" Jake, now contemplative, responded, "That scenario remains hypothetical, but based on our projections." He indicated the holographic display, now alive with tactical simulations, fleet deployments, and casualty projections. It's safe to assume that the vast majority of species find our present methodology significantly more palatable. The alarms on the students' communicators had morphed into a fresh, diplomatic chime, not frantic alerts, but refined meeting invitations and treaty renegotiation requests. Abruptly, the galaxy craved human interaction. "All right," Jake resumed, his tone now more relaxed. "Any burning questions about our pedagogical approach?" Yet an even more unsettling aspect lingered. Jake's unwavering gaze upon Agent Crickstyle during his discourse. His smile hinted at full awareness of the intelligence agencies scrutinizing this exchange. And, in the depths of everyone's thoughts, a single, chilling premonition was coalescing. Should this be humanity's reaction to mere restraint, imagine their response to genuine provocation. The Academy's emergency comms shattered the classroom's stunned hush. Director Vashti's voice, amplified, resonated throughout the edifice, imbued with an authority commanding the attention of entire star systems. All personnel, proceed to designated posts without delay. Formal diplomatic overtures have been received from the human colonial. This is not a drill. Professor Zether's tendrils danced feverishly across her console, unlocking long-dormant priority channels. "Lieutenant Morrison," she exclaimed, her voice laced with rising alarm. "What precisely has humanity unleashed?" Jake scanned his communicator, flooded with messages. "Looks like around 47 governments suddenly want to overhaul their treaties with Earth, plus the Galactic Council convenes Emergency Summit 47, a Gravari cadet queried, her voice a mere breath. "That's solely those with formal ties," Jake responded offhandedly. "The true figure approaches 200 species, all keen on negotiating joint defense pacts." Agent Crickstyle, the unmasked Hijgamani operative, desperately attempted to reach his superiors, his facade shattered, now blurting frantic coded Voran military commands. "The government's unresponsive," Jake noted, observing the agent's frantic attempts to connect. "They're preoccupied managing explosive disclosures regarding Operation Clean Sweep." The holographic display flickered to life autonomously, showcasing real-time feeds from across the galaxy. Human diplomatic ships were docking at key governmental hubs, carrying exceptionally dense dossiers. "What intel's contained within?" the Athraxian cadet inquired. "Comprehensive proof," Jake stated succinctly. Revelations surfaced, exposing extensive records detailing hostile actions planned by governments against perceived inferior species. Our vigilance paid off as feeds displayed alien leaders' faces, transitioning from stunned disbelief to sheer terror. Following emergency summits, the hegemony's leadership initiated a total communication lockdown, and 3 distinct military coalitions urgently sought counsel from human strategists. Jake proceeded forward, as if delivering a routine lecture. This entire war crimes curriculum wasn't just about combat. It was about instilling a profound aversion to it. Professor Zathara, accessing top-secret Academy files, grew increasingly disturbed. "Lieutenant Morrison, these diplomatic exchanges reveal human fleet deployments absent from our intel briefings." Jake clarified, "That's because you were only privy to the information we deemed appropriate. Every drill, patrol, and exercise has been meticulously orchestrated, culminating in this very juncture." The holographic projection then shifted. Real-time galactic map displayed human military deployments with breathtaking scope. Human forces weren't simply dispersed. They were strategically arrayed with pinpoint accuracy. Fortified networks shielded vulnerable civilizations, while rapid deployment forces stood ready near burgeoning hotspots. "A decades-long orchestrated maneuver," a Centauran cadet murmured. "Centuries, actually," Jake amended. "Since initial contact, we've meticulously chronicled species behaviors, identifying peaceful allies and expansionist threats. News feeds refreshed constantly. Scrambling, multiple powerful military factions abruptly declared a peaceful realignment of their territorial ambitions. Astonishingly, the Corvan Empire, unyielding throughout history, now sought human arbitration for border conflicts previously destined for violent conquest. But why the sudden shift? Questioned Professor Zakhtara. Jake's face hardened. Because yesterday, the Hegemoni finalized Operation Cleansing Storm, initiating the methodical eradication of 47 species next week, and they fatally underestimated. Encompassing Earth's allies within that roster, the classroom plunged into an eerie stillness. Even Agent Crickest ceased his desperate communication efforts. Therefore, we deemed it opportune for a demonstration, Jake elaborated, not showcasing our treatment of adversaries, but rather illuminating our dedication to comrades. The shimmering holographic display showcased humanity's galvanizing relief operations throughout the galaxy. Critical medical shipments surging to plague-ravaged planets, stalwart defensive fleets safeguarding imperiled colonies, and adept diplomatic envoys forging vital mutual aid pacts with species once dismissed as negligible by dominant empires. Every undervalued species on the Hegemony's kill list just evolved into a crucial component of humanity's protective network, Jake elucidated. We don't seize territory, we cultivate unbreakable alliances. Agent Crickest's comm device crackled to life, delivering a message so stunning it rendered his crystalline features utterly transparent with disbelief. What's wrong? Queried a vegan cadet. We've just intercepted news that the Hegemony Council has resolved to issue a full apology to Earth, coupled with an urgent plea for peace talks, Jake declared, seemingly privy to Vault and military transmissions. Furthermore, they're proposing to compensate every species victimized by Operation Clean Sweep. Zigth pressed. How do you know this? Jake retorted. Because we've been monitoring all Hegemony comms for months. Astounding, isn't it? Even underestimated minds can grasp knowledge. The comms crackled. Not Vashti, but Admiral Chen, human colonial authority seizing Academy comms. Galactic civilizations, heed this crucial broadcast. The display then flickered, revealing a scene. A human naval officer stood before a colossal tactical display, showcasing the recent movements of every significant galactic fleet, Admiral Chen declared. Human envoys are presenting irrefutable evidence of imminent threats against our citizenry to galactic governments. Let our stance be explicitly known. The tactical display honed in on key sectors, illustrating human forces strategically deploying around vulnerable planets. Earth unequivocally affirms the inalienable right of all sentient species to exist free from the specter of annihilation. Any regime contemplating a breach of this fundamental tenet will face rigorous scrutiny from human peacekeeping units. Professor Zethar's tentacles stilled. They're posturing as the galaxy's constabulary. No, Jake countered. They're positioning themselves as the galaxy's guardians, a crucial distinction. Admiral Chen's voice hardened. Let us underscore, human forces are. Under current stringent protocols, we prioritize minimizing casualties and maintaining diplomatic ties. However, these directives may evolve should organized threats to civilian lives emerge. Simulations illustrated enhanced military responses if restrictions were eased, yielding sobering casualty projections. Admiral Chen affirmed, negotiation remains our preferred path, yet clarity regarding our resolve is crucial. Alternatives, Earth is poised to explore reciprocal defense treaties, extensive humanitarian support endeavors, and cooperative security frameworks with any nation committed to harmonious coexistence. The transmission ceased, enveloping the classroom in utter stillness. Jake scanned the bewildered faces of his peers. Right, he quipped with a smile. Any bright ideas for next semester's syllabus? Agent Crickstyle, hand trembling, inquired, Lieutenant Morrison, what becomes of those of us tasked with assessing human potential? That's relative, Jake countered. Do you intend to weaponize that knowledge against innocent people? Absolutely not. Then you're likely in the clear. Human governance is remarkably tolerant of intellectual exploration. We're even releasing most of our strategic doctrines as open-source educational resources. The Athraxian trainee's mandibles clicked with unease. You're divulging human combat techniques to everyone. We're divulging human thinking techniques, Jake clarified. There's a vast chasm between the two. Mimicking our fighting style demands comprehending the rationale behind our conflicts, not merely the mechanics. Professor Zeth Thor unearthed newly declassified files, unveiling detailed psychological assessments of human forces and established protocols. Jake affirmed our aim is to furnish other races with insights into the adversaries they face, not to instill fear, but to enable judicious assessments of conflict viability. Widespread galactic reactions to humanity's disclosure flooded news channels, prompting several bellicose entities to proclaim instant de-escalation. Territorial expansion initiatives. 3 distinct species sought human aid for internal security challenges. The Corvan Empire reportedly aimed to enlist human consultants to revolutionize their entire military strategy. And the Academy? A Gravari cadet inquired. What becomes of our war crime studies? Jake smirked. Looks like Professor Zathara needs a complete course overhaul. What sort? She sighed. Human psychology intertwined with strategic foresight, Jake proposed, emphasizing our motivations. Shape our choices, harmonize compassion with combat goals, and critically, how other beings navigate this, absent caffeinated weaponry. A Centaurian cadet inquired. Will you assist in teaching? Jake, glancing at his communicator, replied, I've been reassigned. Earth's government is forging a new diplomatic corps focused on guiding species seeking our conflict resolution strategies precisely. Are you serious? Professor Zakthora inquired. Hegemony Space? Commander Veltar explicitly sought human expertise to overhaul their inaugural contact guidelines. He's seemingly certain that grasping human behavioral science is indispensable for interstellar peacekeeping. The humor wasn't disregarded by anyone present. Questioned a fresh-faced, plant-based cadet, seemingly enthralled by the concept of a military canine companion. Buddy's getting a promotion, Jake exclaimed with pride. He'll be the pioneering Earth K9 to secure a formal ambassadorial role. The title, Ambassador Buddy, resonates beautifully. The Academy's comm system blared one last time, Director Vashtai's voice echoing. All students and staff, proceed immediately to the main auditorium for an urgent convocation. Representatives from the Human Colonial Authority will be present to unveil groundbreaking educational collaborations and invigorated curriculum revisions. As students trickled from the classroom, Jake hesitated by Professor Zathara's desk. Professor, he murmured, I need you to understand. My intent was never to incite fear towards humans, but rather to foster. Indeed, everyone grasps that unity as allies surpasses animosity as foes, Lieutenant Morrison, she responded, her tentacles gesturing in a manner he recognized as the alien equivalent of pensive consideration. I believe your mission has proven fruitful, yet a final query lingers. Proceed. In all your ingenious tactical designs, your deft psychological manipulations, your masterful strategic placements, Did it ever dawn on you that you might be inspiring the galaxy to emulate humanity's essence? Jake's smile hinted that this inquiry was anticipated. Professor, that was invariably the underlying ambition. Humans stumbled upon profound wisdom eons ago. True peace isn't born of fearful silence, but of enlightened minds choosing unity over conflict. As Jake turned to leave, Professor Zakara's voice echoed. Lieutenant, what if some species remain intent on challenging humanity's strength? Jake halted, a contemplative expression settling on his face. Then, Professor, he replied, that is precisely what this cutting-edge curriculum prepares us for. The recording system then captured the last thing, Jake. Morrison strolled down the hall, humming a tune suspiciously like a human battle hymn, his communicator buzzing with urgent galactic inquiries. When can we begin training? Yet more crucially, in just 4 lessons, the galaxy's most infamous war crimes syllabus had transformed into its premier diplomatic initiative. Deep within the Academy's archives, a solitary note marked Jake Morrison's file. Mission unequivocally achieved. Endorse immediate advancement and placement within the Advanced Xenopsychology Initiative. Acknowledge coffee expenditure augmentation request for subsequent deployment. That pivotal day, the galaxy gleaned a monumental lesson destined to redefine interstellar diplomacy for eons. They discovered humanity's unique prowess, not merely conquering conflicts, but inspiring galactic denizens to embrace superior conflict resolution alternatives. For at times, the cosmos's most potent instrument resides within irresistible allure and indispensable cooperation, transcending pointless antagonism. Yet, as the cadets dispersed, approaching the auditorium, Professor Zathara halted, observing Agent Krixt seated at his desk, fixated on his communicator with utter perplexity. Agent Krixt, she inquired, cautiously drawing nearer. Aren't you joining the assembly? The Voran agent glanced up, his crystalline face cycling through hues of intense emotional turmoil. Professor, he uttered slowly, I've received extraordinary instructions from Command. Immediate return to Voran. He continued, orders to officially commencing the novel curriculum. My government mandates my completion of the comprehensive diplomatic training initiative, culminating in certification as a human psychology specialist. Professor Zathara's tentacles shimmered, possibly with subtle amusement. It appears your intelligence mission has organically transformed into a stimulating educational exchange. That's not the most extraordinary aspect, Chrysist added. They're deploying my entire 17-member unit. We're poised to become the inaugural graduating cohort of the Hijgamani's groundbreaking Peaceful Coexistence Academy. Jake's voice echoed from the hallway, overhearing. Oh, that's exceptional. You're prime candidates for our pilot initiative. We've contemplated trialing this curriculum on species with a history of aggression towards us. Crystal inquired with concern. Aren't you worried about training future adversaries? Jake chuckled. Agent, by the program's end, you won't be potential foes, but prospective emissaries. That's the core objective. As they headed towards the auditorium, more students received comparable messages. The Thraxian cadet government urged her to concentrate on human conflict resolution strategies. The Gravari were seeking in-depth analyses of human psychology, unconventional warfare tactics repurposed not for military engagements, but integrated into sophisticated diplomatic curricula. The auditorium throbbed with anticipation upon their arrival. Representatives from myriad species convened, distinct from the military observers or intelligence operatives typically frequenting academy events. Rather, these were educators, diplomats, and cultural exchange virtuosos. Director Vashti graced the stage, his customary sternness supplanted by palpable enthusiasm. "Esteemed students and faculty," he proclaimed, "today signifies a monumental, a revolutionary shift for our academy. Initially a military tactics analysis, it has blossomed into a galactic first." The human diplomatic delegation lined the platform, and Jake was taken aback to spot numerous recognizable figures. The Admiral, naturally, Dr. Kim from Kepler Station, and seemingly several former offenders from prior investigations. "The Human Colonial Authority suggests a radical curriculum overhaul," Director Vashti announced, "not to discard human military studies, but to exponentially broaden its scope. An exhaustive curriculum encompassing human philosophy, psychology, ethics, and strategic foresight. A holographic projection showcased the envisioned Academy's framework, featuring courses in practical empathy, resource maximization under duress, psychological fortitude, cultivation, and innovative crisis resolution. However, the most compelling inclusion was listed last: interspecies kinship dynamics and the paramount significance of enduring emotional connections. "That's Buddy's brainchild," Jake exclaimed from the crowd. "He firmly believes that any human-centric education must..." Demonstrating a profound grasp of group dynamics, the delegates gazed upon a golden retriever poised elegantly beside the human delegation, sporting a tiny diplomatic sash. "Introducing Ambassador Buddy, spearheading our pioneering xenopsychology division," proclaimed a human representative. "His forte lies in elucidating the strategic advantages of unwavering loyalty, profound trust, and refined emotional intelligence across species." A Centauran delegate inquired, "With utmost respect, are you requesting we embrace..." A single tail wag from a furry companion held more diplomatic power than grand treaties. Ambassador Jake achieved peaceful resolutions in 3 interspecies conflicts this week, surpassing human diplomats. "How?" a perplexed Altarian inquired. "He's exceptionally perceptive," Jake responded, "and inspires a protective instinct that remarkably diffuses aggression." Professor Zaktharo meticulously reviewed the exhaustive curriculum proposal on her datapad. "This is truly all-encompassing. You're essentially offering to educate the entire galaxy on how to resonate with humanity's perspective. Not how to think like humans," Dr. Kim amended, advancing, "but with humans. A vital distinction. We aren't seeking conversion, but rather forging a collaborative framework that benefits all species." The Thraxian cadet raised her mandible. "But what of species who shun cooperation? What of those who favor the antiquated methods of operation?" The human admiral advanced, his countenance hardening. "That is undoubtedly their prerogative, but they must comprehend that the antiquated methods of operation now explicitly exclude the prospect of menacing species enjoying human safeguarding." A Corvan delegate, visibly apprehensive, inquired, "And precisely how many species are under human guardianship?" Jake consulted his communicator. As of approximately 10 minutes prior, 137 confirmed allies, with an additional 46 applications awaiting scrutiny. The ensuing silence was the profound kind that typically, ushering in either jubilation or trepidation, the evaluation is, Dr. Kim asserted, perfectly fair. Primarily, We seek affirmation that prospective species harbor no genocidal intent and embrace collaborative support. Regarding collaborative aid, the Corvan inquired, what specific forms? Jake delineated healthcare provision, catastrophe relief, tech swaps, instructional initiatives. Fairly common, Jake concluded, and coffee treaties, astonishingly coveted. Director Vashti scrutinized digital correspondence on his communicator, according to which documents reveal that 17 unique species now employ standardized coffee brewing processes within their armed forces. Dr. Kim elaborated, highlighting coffee's ability to sharpen cognitive function during high-stakes scenarios, calling it a readily adaptable technology. Agent Krixt, silently absorbing the discourse, interjected, inquiring about groups like the Hegemony, known for past missteps. Everyone falters, Jake responded. The crucial factor is if they grow. Your administration's choice to issue an apology for Operation Clean Sweep and seek academic support implies an eagerness for knowledge, and while other species might shun learning, the human admiral's courteous smile held subtle implications that unsettled many. Our armed forces will persist in analyzing the strategies of conflict-oriented species for scholastic reasons, naturally. The Corvan delegate, visibly hurried, echoed, "Of course, of course," diligently recording notes as the assembly adjourned, and delegates commenced networking actively. Professor Zathara, now beside Jake by the exit, murmured, "Lieutenant Morrison, I must inquire, was this elaborate scenario orchestrated from the start?" Jake's grin hinted at layers of hidden agendas. "Professor, humanity has envisioned galactic harmony since recognizing the existence of other sentient life. Everything else was simply strategic execution." He paused, a twinkle in his eye. "Even Ambassador Buddy, especially the dog, has been rigorously prepared for this diplomatic mission since puppyhood. It's the most astute investment we've ever made." As if on cue, Buddy bounded towards them, ambled over, settling by Jake's feet, gazing towards Professor Zathara, a look that mirrored sharp wit intertwined with a compelling urge to offer affection. "Don't hesitate," Jake chimed in, observing her reluctance. "He's exceptionally skilled at what he does." Professor Zaktala extended a hesitant hand, scratching behind Buddy's ears. The dog's tail responded with a perfectly measured wag, and somehow that small connection made the whole cosmos feel infinitesimally more secure. Plas dismissed, her voice softer, yet imbued not with finality, but rather the promise of a nascent start.